That's it. Cut my music, Sasha. Cut it. Cut my music. Come on, cut it. $10 10 long years is what it has been since BC Amplified has seen a good, complete Monday Night Raw. From top to bottom, start to finish, beginning to end. A well-rounded, complete show. Was last night exceptional? Not by any means. Was it one of the best Raws BC has ever seen? Not by a long shot. But well-rounded and complete. And after 10 years, that shocked BC. We're going to go over in great detail this show in this very review. The only way we should be going over it, amplified to the core, like only BC can do. Oh, we're going to dissect this show. But in this cold open, let's just look at the skeleton of this show. What do you mean it was well-rounded, BC? What do you mean it was complete? Well, I'm glad you asked. Class is in session. Professor Amplified Man is ready to begin. You look at the start of this show with Riddle and Rollins brawling from backstage, not just into the crowd, but through the crowd, starting at section 117, ending up in 212, and then heading backstage again. This leaves the audience wondering, well, shit, if that's how we're starting the show, then anything can happen tonight, and that energy is reciprocated. It's felt through the big screen TVs of everybody across the world. Was it the Montreal crowd of Friday night? Of course not. But, I mean, they've been in Canada for many nights. A lot of those people probably a little burnt out by now. The ones that have traveled around, catching all of these shows. But man, what a way to start. This isn't just Logan Paul, somebody not even on the roster who's brawling with like the Miz last month. No, this is something that people can sink their teeth into, man. Rollins and Riddle brawling in their lap in Toronto. And then by the time they go back, you got them wondering, man, are they going to brawl back? Are they going to be in section 257 next? Or are they going to be in the upper deck? Everybody's looking around thinking, is this brawl over with? And then before they knew it, bam, boom, zoom. From every which direction, pyro explodes throughout the arena. Pyro after an opening brawl. At this point, man, you got a pretty jump-started beginning to the show. The brawl, the pyro, and before you can even sit down, oh, it's time to rock and roll. This time she's in control. Trish Stratus, the hometown queen, making her way to the ring, man. So you have an opening brawl, you have unexpected pyro after the brawl, and then you have the homecoming of Trish Stratus to WWE right there in Canada. Pretty exceptional way to begin. Do I wish they did more with Trish? Absolutely. We're going to go over it in this review. Trust me. That's the start. What's the middle? What's the bulk of your show? Well, how about Chad Gable degrading an entire country only to have that country's hero, Kevin Owens, hit the scene, and we get a banger of a match between those two. So good to see Gable finally utilized. He collected another L. But man, this was the most relevant I have seen him in a long time. And to see Kevin Owens get the shine that he's been lacking for the last half a decade, man, it's so special. Also in the bulk, the middle of the show, you got this little swerve with Dexter Lumis, this dude attacking AJ Styles. So many people thought it was Escobar, maybe shaved up completely. They're taking different angles at it. BC has not gotten a second look at it. I'm not really sure who it was, other than maybe it was a swerve, but I have to do my due diligence, go back and check it out. I haven't even read any reports, to be honest. My initial look at this dude, he didn't look like anybody BC knew, but again, I was not able to check it out a second time. But somebody attacked AJ Styles. It looks like it was a swerve by Dexter Lumis. And when the Miz was on the other side of that barricade, Dexter shows up out of nowhere, helmet taken off, grabs Miz, takes him over the barricade, and backwards with that sadistic look, literally abducts the Miz through the crowd. The crowd is like, what is happening? And Dexter takes off through the curtain, through section 112, or whatever the fuck. And Miz has this look like, what the help? Miz abducted at this very hour, and it is early in the morning. We don't know where the Miz is. Or at least that's the story being told. Is this a message from Loomis to AJ Styles, and the Miz is just a pawn in the game? Was the target all along the Miz? And Styles was that middleman to get to the main goal of Dexter Lumis, which was the Miz. It was AJ Styles who was the pawn in the game. There's so many questions. We got a storyline on Raw. Go figure. Been a while for those. Also in the bulk, the middle of the show, Johnny Gargano. Johnny Wrestling returns to WWE. Arguably the hottest free agent in the business aside from Bray Wyatt. I leave Sasha Banks out, of course, because she is still technically a part of WWE. She has never been released. She is still on all of the active pages. Hell, you can Google and check the public page for the roster of WWE and you'll see Sasha Banks. I fully expect her and Naomi to be back any week now, any show now. So you look at Bray Wyatt and Johnny Gargano, those were the hottest free agents. One just came out just out of nowhere, just Triple H flexing a little bit of muscle, right? You know what? It's 10-10. Bring out Johnny Gargano. I wasn't able to see who attacked AJ Styles a second time, but I saw about 7 different angles. Some live crowd reaction, too, of Johnny Gargano from Toronto. And man, that was a buzz. That was such a high-octane, amplified pop. Gargano was interviewed afterwards, and Gargano said, man, I was just hoping one person knew who I was when my name was put up on the Tron. Well, we all remembered you, brah. None of us forgot. That was just in the middle of the show. And then to see Austin Theory. Austin, that's right. I still call him Austin Theory, just like I call Ciampa Tommaso Ciampa. And everybody else that had one name fucking taken off. To see Theory face to face with Gargano, it made you think of all the great matches. If you put a proper storyline to it, and the feeling that we'll have from matches like this, man, there's such a good youth movement. Even though Gargano's been doing this for a while, but the point is, there's such a fresh movement when you see guys like Damien Priest in Theory, and now you got Gargano, and you know you just. There's so much potential on this roster if somebody just gives a damn. I said this for 5 years that I've made content on this channel. I have said if somebody just gives a damn in WWE, man, it's to the moon because the talent is there. Just give them storylines, proper build. Give a fuck about what your talent is doing. Man, Johnny Gargano face-to-face with Theory last night. We're going to talk all about Gargano's return, trust me. That was just in the middle of the show, too. And then the end of the show, Damien Priest, Edge, main event. Edge in your main event on Raw. Fuck yeah. They did a pretty decent job in building up this main event, too. Last week on Monday Night Raw, they spent a good bulk of the show pumping up this main event. And when it was all said and done, Beth Phoenix was standing in a WWE ring, steel chair in hand, Rhea Ripley being held off by the dogs, Balor and Priest, holding off Ripley face to face with Phoenix not backing down. And that's how we ended Monday Night Raw. Beth Phoenix versus Rhea Ripley teased. I don't care if it's a mixed tag or straight up. Give me that, oh yes, mighty one, please. I don't care if it's Vince McMahon, Triple H, the Wizard of Oz, Hornswoggle, whoever is running this ship right now. Rhea Ripley versus Beth Phoenix? That's a match I never thought I needed until I saw that face-to-face and I was reminded, well, fuck yeah, that makes sense. That would be badass. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Beth Phoenix is nowhere near done. I know she's a mom. She doesn't want to do this full-time, not even part-time anymore, not even twice a year. Hey, I get it. Priorities change as you get older. Beth Phoenix has so much more to offer this business. Does she need to? No. Does she owe anybody anything? No. But damn, you look at Beth Phoenix in her last outing in that mixed tag. She doesn't just have one more match, bro. She has many if she chooses to. And what we got last night looks like the beginning of such. And hold up, before we go any further in this cold open. I know many of you are probably asking, well, BC, have your feelings on Vince McMahon still being the guy, have they changed? Guys, no. That's not an opinion. It's not just a feeling that BC has. All of the evidence, all of the facts that we have tells us that one day, whenever he chooses, Vince McMahon is going to be back because he never truly left. We know that because that's in Stephanie's own words to the shareholders last week during that shareholder quarterly meeting that they hold. Stephanie McMahon assured everybody, business-wise, Vince is more in tune than ever before. He's the majority shareholder. He's the owner of the company, guys. He's got the most voting shares. He's got the most everything. He is the owner still. He's still listed as a performer on their roster page. You can go to WWE.com and find Mr. McMahon right there. He can come whenever he wants. That's the best part about retiring. Before you're forced out, he walked himself out, which means anytime he wants to come back, even during an investigation. Because, by the way, that's over. The investigation is done. For the most part. I think they're tying up some loose ends, but that's done. Even if there was, technically, he could come back because he walked away. And he's still listed as a performer anyway, but he's the owner. So Stephanie has told you he never went anywhere. On top of that, look at the regime that was put in place. Nick Khan, his financial guy as CEO. The other part of that CEO equation is his own daughter, Stephanie. The head of everything else, his son-in-law, Triple H. Everything was put in place perfectly to where when Vince wants to come back, all the keys will be placed in his pocket. So no, my feelings have not changed on that. I always said, however long that we have Triple H in any type of power, we just have to be happy for that time. It's like the old saying, don't be sad that it's over, be happy that it was. So I don't even want to think about the whole McMahon shit and coming back one day, which he will. This is all smoke and mirrors. That's why he walked away a week before SummerSlam, retired my ass while there's an investigation. Now that it's over, he's going to let the dust settle, the smoke clear, and one day, probably within the calendar year, by the end of 2023, McMahon will be back. He cannot live without this WWE thing. This is his whole life, and there's no way he's going to sit back and let other people handle it for too long. But for right now, we have Triple H with, if not all the keys to the kingdom, at least a lot of those keys. You ever see a janitor? He's always got like 176 keys. And you never know how he knows which one goes to which one, but he knows every fucking door, every nook and cranny. Well, if Vince McMahon has 176 keys, including that master key, maybe Triple H has 176 of those fucking keys. All 176 except for the master key. And that's pretty damn good. Because what I saw last night, whether it's smoke and mirrors or not, beggars can't be choosers. We've been asking for it for 10 years. We fucking got it. So no, I haven't changed my stance because I know McMahon will be back because he never went anywhere. He's the owner. He's on the fucking roster sheet as even talent still. He's going to be back. And he's going to want to control everything. But I don't even want to be tied down to that. I don't want to be harped down by even thinking about McMahon on a night where we got a complete show. On a night where I want to give the round of applause to the man of 3 H's. Because for the time that we do have Triple H, let's appreciate that. Again, don't be sad that it's over. Whenever this is done, this honeymoon, McMahon decides to come back and take back all 176 keys to go along with his master. Let's not be sad that that it's over. Let's be happy that we had this Triple H fucking era, because I waited 10 years to see a night like we saw last night. So no, my feelings, my thoughts on Vince McMahon being the lead guy, of course not, because they haven't changed, because it's the fact. Vince McMahon right now, one phone call to H, Stephanie, Nick, anybody, one phone call, and whatever McMahon says goes. He's the owner, guys. I don't know how many times I can say that. Some people think that he went away and he's watching the Golden Girls marathon at night with Linda. And during the day, he's going to the Jersey Shore and he's picking out seashells with Linda, right? Or maybe he's somewhere right now in a skyrise here in New York City, fucking another paralegal. Who knows? No, he's doing business for WWE. Right now, by the time you're watching this, I don't care if it's in Stanford or his home. Maybe he's at a local Starbucks sipping down some fucking lattes. No. He'll be back one day and you'll remember these words. I know we don't want to hear it. But we have what we saw last night. We have Triple H now. We have change occurring. Let's fucking roll with that. I don't even want to think about Vince right now. Speaking of lattes, by the way, where are my manners? If you made it this far and you're new to the channel, allow me to introduce myself. I am BC Amplified. And this is the Amplified channel. You are amongst the Amplified unit. And we always start these shows off, usually before the cold open. But before we get to the full review, we start off with a coffee. We brew our own coffee up in this bitch. So usually we pick... I'm running a little... I got to put a lot of... I have some other boxes, guys. These are all empty slots. I do have other boxes. I just haven't filled them up yet. So right now what we're working with is... we still have Espresso Lavazza, Krispy Kreme. We got Espresso Dunkin'. We're going to do the Folgers. This is a special occasion, man. So... yeah, so we're going to do Folgers. So, Sasha... I'm going to need you to show Folger some love and hit that damn jingle. That's right. On this channel, our coffee has theme music. So we're going to show Folgers that love, man. That's what we're going to do. Sasha, hit that Folgers jingle.
Hero held him tight. I'll start Folgers to brew. Mountain grown aroma coming.
Folgers aroma roasted coffee made from mountain grown beans, richly roasted and finely ground for great waking up aroma.
Oh, what that aroma can do, brighter day for me and you. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your
all right. Cup. Hopefully that starts brewing. Hold on. We got to make sure that starts brewing before we can go over the actual review, guys. Johnny Gargano. What? The middle of the fucking show, you talk about a surprise. I can't wait to talk about that. Here we go. You could do it, buddy. You could do it. It's early in the morning, man. It takes KK some time. That's right. My girl's got a name here, man. KK. KK the Keurig coffee machine. There you go. KK is brewing that shit. Can you hear that shit, man? Oh, that is the sound of an early morning perfect brew of Folgers. Or somebody taking a piss. Either way, it's a fucking... I like to go with the coffee notion. All right, let's do this, man. Let's do this. We'll have to talk about Rollins and Riddle start this show in an all-out battle brawl from the locker room into the crowd and backstage again. Triple H said, fuck adding to the story. Let's just show people why they have to pay for this match in 2 weeks in Cardiff. These two can't stand one another, and you... Excuse you, KK. She's ready to be topped off. That's what I like to hear. These two can't stand one another, and you have to see them tear one another apart on September 4th. Okay, simple enough. I'm on board. You know, I prefer more storyline, but when you have a pack show like H had, and he's like, how can I get the biggest bang for my buck? He's just going to have Rollins and Riddle brawl throughout the arena to start the show. I'm sold. Let's fucking do it. Better than anything they've done thus far, guys. Let's be honest. Way better than anything they've done this far. So, and again, right after that, guys, immediately after that, while everybody is wondering if the brawl is over, are they going to come out of another section in the arena? Right after, we get pyro out of nowhere. Fuck yes. And it was a different style of pyro, too, man. You know, it's not Attitude Era, like, explosion type. That's the best. Where it looks like it was, like, missiles coming in and shit and just exploding. You felt you were literally in a war zone back in the day. But this was some different type of pyro. And it came right after a brawl like that with Riddle and Rollins. It was just like... There's a different feel to the beginning of the show. It's almost like, yes, absolutely, like this. I always tell you guys, in Q1, at the start of any show, people are there wanting to view it. They want you to give them a reason to put the remote control down. Give them a reason to stay for an hour, 2 hours, maybe the entire 3 hours, guys. Make them give a damn. For 10 years, we've started these shows off in the most redundant of fucking ways. Guy comes out, says some words. Another guy comes out. Maybe a gal comes out. That sets up a match. They have a 2-minute match. It ends in a schmaz. Then all of a sudden, 2 other people come out, and we have a impromptu tag team with those 4 people. It's like, how much redundancy can you fucking have? Can you handle for 10 years, a decade, before you finally want to put your dome piece through a brick wall? That's the point that most of us wrestling fans, most of us WWEites, that's where we were finally at. It came to a point where we said enough. And to see this show start off with that brawl and then pyro immediately after, bro, man, BC was on cloud 9. That's why I say, look at that texture on that Folgers, bro. Look at it seep through, that cream as it seeps through that textured fucking Folgers. Are you kidding me, dude? Look at that. Look at the layers now. Wow, you don't see that often. It's a beautiful coffee. Anyway, where was I with that? Yeah, man, I was on cloud 9. I really was. I'm not asking you to move mountains. I'm not asking for rocket science to be explained to us. I'm just asking you to do the bare minimum of creating a good show for all of us, yes, but also to do your due diligence and justice for your talent. Put them in good situations, fun shit, though that afterwards we can all talk about how good the show was and not how bad it was, which is what we've been doing for 10 years, and BC comes out as the negative guy for the 5 years I've had this channel. I'm not so negative, I'm a whole lot truthful. I think that's where a misconception with BC was for the last 5 years. Since I've had this channel, everyone just says, oh, he's the guy that yells on YouTube. He's the angry podcaster, the mean guy. He's an asshole. Well, some of that may be true. I'm an honest asshole. And I told you guys what this show needed, which was a lot. But it was nothing that couldn't be fixed. So yeah, I just went in great length about pyro. Damn right I did. Does a lot for the show. Triple H said that, man, in many interviews. He said back in the day, you could feel how loud the pyro was. It would vibrate through the backstage area. And it got the boys and the gals even more excited. And we all know what it did to the show, man, for the fans. Pyro. It was so good to see you right after that brawl. Then, as if that wasn't already a fun way to start the show, amplified by the pyro, Trish Stratus makes her return to WWE. She says, this girl is still ever so beautiful, man. I mean, we all remember her in the Attitude Era, but damn, I don't know if she's fell off the fucking map that much. She might have gotten more pretty, more beautiful even. Salute to my amplified unit, by the way, as we continue at the start of this review. Salute. Let me get the first sip in. Oh, yep. Yep. I forget to say my Folgers catchphrase, so let me say it now to my tried and true amp unit members. Folgers, it's in your motherfucking cup. That's for my tried and trues, man. My newer subscribers, you guys probably don't know what the fuck I just talked about, but remember that line. I'll be saying it a lot. Trish Stratus looking ever so beautiful. She says, it's not just good to be home in Canada, but it's so good to be home in WWE. Bayley, Dakota, Kai, Io Sky, they all hit the ring, and not long after, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka join Stratus. Stratus tells Bayley face to face, and I quote, "You're about to find out how fast I can go from retired to unretired," and she takes off her coat at this point. And legit, Trish Stratus is in better shape today than she was 20 years ago. I'm convinced of that. She takes her jacket off, and I mean, the condition, the shape that she is in, top notch would be an understatement. And I just love that line. You're going to find out real fast how I can go from retired to unretired. Just badass. Bayley acknowledges the numbers are not on her side and decides to take her troops and retreat. I was hoping for much more of an impactful appearance last night by Stratus that really elevated the cause and the mission and the status of Bayley, Io, and Dakota. And what I mean by that, I've been saying this in many streams lately, many videos. It feels kind of like Bayley, Io, and Dakota are just kind of there. They're just members of the roster that just decided to form a little clique. It doesn't feel like they really have a mission statement, right? Like they really want to control WWE, like they really want to take over, because they're just thrusted in this weird 6-woman tag at Clash at the Castle. SummerSlam seemed to have been their peak, and that was their debut. Ever since, they kind of tapered off. You know, with a highlight of Bayley, Io, and Dakota last week was a 3-minute match with Dakota defeating Dana Brooke. This week, it was a Bayley Aliyah singles match. And then just this heckling back and forth with Strat. That's what I mean. I mean, the booking, I would book Bayley, Io, and Dakota much more high octane. Their booking would be more amplified. And I said in yesterday's Amplified live stream, I told you guys that I would have Bayley, Io, and Dakota beat the shit out of Trish Stratus. You know, she can have her moment in the ring so the crowd, Toronto, can cheer her. That hero's welcome, but when she gets backstage, maybe Bayley attacks her and they beat the shit out of her back in the parking lot. They drive off before anybody can help Trish. I feel like it would have been better utilized if Trish, not that Bayley and them need a rub, but kind of push them in the right direction before she took off. Because Trish Stratus cut a backstage interview for WWE.com, and she once again eluded, just like she's done on social media 1,000 times, eluded to the fact that, yeah, she's up for another match if it's the right situation, and it looks like it will be with Bayley in the future. So why not have it set up last night? It would really help to elevate Bayley, Io, and Dakota. Instead, we just got the heroes welcome and the heels back down in retreat. Man, I thought we could have done so much better with what we had last night with that, but that's what we had. I just wanted a signature moment for this new group, Bayley's group. A signature moment that's not just their debut at SummerSlam. We haven't had that yet. But this would lead into Asuka and Alexa versus Dakota and Io. So that women's tag tournament semifinal, that was that matchup to kick us off wrestling-wise. 18-minute match with these 4 participants. 2 commercial breaks broke this up into 3 parts, this match, for us at home anyway, wherever you were watching. But it was still a pretty decent match. The finish saw Kai tap out to Asuka, but Io was the actual legal competitor. So the tap out onto Kai meant nothing. And before Asuka could really realize that, Io, Sky, then scoops Asuka up in the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating Farut roll-up. So that damn fruit roll-up appears again in Triple H's WWE, but fuck it. I don't believe we saw a 24/7 championship last night. I don't remember if Alexa came to the ring with the doll. Did she have Lily? Maybe you guys can tell me. I'm not sure. And I'm not interested enough to go back and find out. In my mind, I'm going to hope that she didn't have Lily. But we did get a fruit roll-up last night. And this is what I mean, guys. Can we do better? Can we have something transpire that's going to make people talk more and actually do more for the participants involved? Well, what do you mean, BC? Can you explain a little bit, dude? Absolutely. Glad you asked. Like I said, 18-minute match just to end with a roll-up and Asuka taking an L. And by the way, it was Io, when we know that in the future we're going to want to see Asuka and Io on the main roster have a 25 at least minute banger. We know we're going to want to see that. We don't want to already remember that they've already been pinning each other in nonsensical tag matches. I don't care if there's titles or not on the line. I mean, these are irrelevant titles until they become relevant. It's up to the company to make us give a fuck about these titles, and it's up to the company to make the titles prestigious. So until that happens, this is a nonsensical tag match to BC. So instead of a roll-up after 18 minutes, I mean, could we have killed a couple of birds with one stone? And what I mean by that is, if that's the end that you want, the end result, and we all know that most likely it's going to be Dakota and Io, Sky and Kai, they're going to win these titles. Okay, so I'm okay with that. But right before Asuka's about to win, what if all of a sudden on the Tron, a camera is picking up commotion in the parking lot or backstage? I prefer the parking lot. But it's Bayley. She took out Trish Stratus. Clearly jumped her from behind, and she's muffing her up. And she's beating the hell out of her out by the fucking rental cars. Maybe puts her fucking head into the back of the car, right? Trish is a gamer, man. Trish will do that before she takes off. Trish is going back home. You're not going to see Trish for a long time. She'll do that shit. If she wants a couple $100 extra, $1,000, throw it to her. Bayley takes her out backstage. This leaves Asuka up at the Tron like moments earlier, 18 minutes earlier, she was protecting Trish. Trish was about to get jumped by all 3 of Bayley, Io, and Dakota. No, Asuka and Alexa made sure that they protected their friend. Right? They didn't think that was right. So now they're seeing poor Bayley get jumped and beat up backstage by Bayley. Asuka's a little bit shaken by this, right? She's not leaving the ring per se. She knows she's in a title match, but yeah, she's watching this kind of shocked. And that's how Io, or I would prefer Dakota, is able to get the pin somehow through that distraction. And And then Asuka and Alexa afterwards, yeah, they're bummed about the fucking match, but they also know that they got to go fucking see if Trish is okay. They run to the fucking back. There's a huge smile on Dakota and Io's face because their plan worked masterfully. You kill many birds with one stone here, man. It's a much better way to save face for Asuka and Alexa. That was a distraction, man. Damn. Taking out Trish. Asuka took her eye off the ball for a damn second. It's better than just a fruit roll-up, man. That doesn't make Asuka look any better. So it helps the faces that just lost save face, make them look a little better. And in the process, it doesn't just give Io and Dakota a victory. It gives the whole group, we can call them Control, I guess. I don't know if that's officially their name. But it gives them a moment. Not only are these two winning in this tournament to go to the finals, Bayley, their leader, is taking out a legend in the parking lot. That's something we're going to remember going forward. 2-3 days from now, probably in a few hours, man. Today, you're probably already going to forget. If people like BC Amplified are not talking about it, you're going to forget about this fruit roll-up finish and maybe even the match. That's what I mean. You have Trish right there. All it takes is a few extra moments to think about what you're doing and give it proper care, time, and energy. Put all the resources that are needed into it, and let's rock. So that's where I'm coming from. We could have done better. Still a decent match, though. 18 minutes. They gave him the time. So good to see the interactions with Asuka and Io. I wish it was saved for a one-on-one feud. Beggars can't be choosers, man. Dolph Ziggler versus Finn Balor is next. This ends hour number 1. Before the match, these two were backstage, and Dolph slapped the taste out of Balor's mouth. Dolph then says... So I want you to picture it. You know how they're backstage doing the interview right before the curtain? Right before they go into the curtain, they're having this face-to-face. Dolph slaps the fucking... literally the taste out of this dude's mouth. To the point where Balor actually, he gets slapped into a sitting position on the floor. And Balor's looking up. Dolph's music hits. He goes to go through the curtain. Dolph comes back, though. He peeks his head back through the curtain and he says, let me get the exact quote. He looks back through the curtain and I quote, Dolph says to Finn Balor, who's still sitting on the ground from the slap, you gonna sit there like a little bitch or you gonna come out to the ring? Balor's like, what the fuck? The ball's on you, dude. This was a 12-minute match. It was a good match. A lot of back and forth. Rhea Ripley was involved late, and this set up the 1916 coup de grace combo that allowed Balor to collect that W. So, decent match here, man. I really wish they gave... When Dolph came back a few months ago into this whole theory situation, I really was hoping they have something big for Dolph because he really deserves at least one last solid run in WWE, even with a championship. I really believe that Dolph is not only that good, but still capable to carry storylines, obviously have banger matches, and really connect with an audience. I've always felt that way about Dolph. I wish that the suits and ties did. I think a lot of people get rubbed off the wrong way because of his ego, because the guy truly knows how good he is. He knows how good he is, man. And Road Dogg, who I believe Road Dogg just replaced Jeff Jarrett. We talked about Jarrett leaving his duties as vice president of live events. So a top executive, Jeff Jarrett, Hall of Famer for WWE, he just took off. I think he wants to wrestle more. He's doing interviews where he's talking about being in the best shape of his life. And I think he really felt something magical a few weeks ago with Ric Flair's last match. And he saw his performance. He felt a certain way. He heard the reaction. He heard the reviews. And I think Jeff Jarrett wants to wrestle again. He just talked about in his latest interview, he hopes one day he could take on AJ Styles. He talked about still being in good shape and never say never. So I think that's why Jarrett left. He wants to wrestle more and not just be a suit and tie. But I'm hearing that Road Dogg took his place for live events, the head guy at live events. So I'll get more confirmation on that. But Road Dogg once said some words about Dolph, and he said, I just wish that he would take more advice. Like, I would try to tell him certain things, and Dolph was just like, yeah, okay. Because Dolph is just confident, and I know that can rub people the wrong way, but so is Shawn Michaels. And talent-wise, I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to find somebody better than that dude. When you're good, and sometimes you know it. And yeah, there's going to be a level of cockiness and a little bit of narcissist in you. Old school Lex Luger. Anybody remember the narcissist Lex Luger? There's going to be that, man. So I just, a lot of you guys may feel differently about Dolph. He does nothing for me. Nah, just let it be over, BC. But you know what? I feel wholeheartedly different. Dolph Ziggler is too fucking good to be booked this fucking bad for this many years. But it was still a good performance, even in that L last night. And, but Balor had to score that. I mean, it was a big night for Judgment Day going into that main event later, so you had to set that up with a Balor W. And then it was hour 2, and we know how that motherfucker kicked off, don't we? Johnny fucking Wrestling. Johnny Gargano returns to WWE. Johnny Gargano debuts on that main roster. Man, as a podcaster, it's my duty to put into words what we're feeling, what is happening, what happened, what is going to happen, right? It's our responsibility as a podcaster or a content creator, a reviewer, a critic especially. If you're good at what you do anyway, it's our responsibility to do such. I just don't know if I can adequately put into words how I felt when I saw Johnny Wrestling come through that curtain. Guys, I'm not trying to overhype or over-exaggerate shit, right? We have enough people in the community that overhype everything. Especially since Triple H took charge. Monday Night Raw is the greatest thing since sliced bread or the Amplified channel, right? To them, even if it's the same fucking redundancy, it's a great show because it's Triple H, right? So in their mind, it's already changed. I don't want to overhype or over-exaggerate. You're like some people who are not Johnny Wrestling fans or never really watched him in NXT. You're probably just thinking, well, who cares, man? Really? You're that hyped, BC, over Johnny Gargano? Yes, it's exactly what I'm saying. Not just because of his talent, skill, and what he can produce. Because if you follow this channel, if you're new to the channel, I'll tell you what I've said about Johnny Gargano from the inception of the channel. Johnny Gargano is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but not just skill and talent-wise in the ring. He can also carry storylines. If you saw what he did with Dexter Lumis and his wife Candice LeRae in NXT, toward the tail end especially, I'm not just talking about the storyline he had with Tommaso Ciampa, but he can turn that into comedy and intrigue with what he did with LeRae and Dexter Lumis and so many others. Johnny Gargano is just that exceptional talent that can check off every box. He's like a Bryan Danielson, especially during that Yes movement many years ago around WrestleMania 30. In fact, the culminating moment was Bryan Danielson winning that championship as Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. But he's that type of individual that just draws you to him. There's a captivation. There's a realness. There's an organic factor that just cannot be tapped into by many others. And Gargano has that special quality. It cannot be explained. It's a special level of it factor, and Gargano has it. Not just BC, man. Many people see this, and that's what draws us to the dude. But it wasn't even just that. It's that shock factor that we haven't had in 10 years. Or if we have, it's very, very minuscule or very spread out, right? When we say sporadical, we mean like every other 3 years. And just how it was done, when we say surprise, man, it was even past 10. It wasn't like it was 9:59 p.m. Eastern Time or even 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. It was like around 10:10, I believe. It was just like, you go back and watch footage, the crowd is all sitting, like basically on their thumbs. It was like we were just coming back from a commercial, I believe. And they were all just kind of wondering what's next, you know. They just sat down with their popcorn. Maybe they're talking to one another during commercial. And then all of a sudden, Gargano's fucking Rebel Heart plays, by the way. So that theme music right there, you're like, no. And you look at the crowd, and they're like, no. No, it can't be. And then you see his name come across the screen, and you see people just jump up. Toronto was shocked. BC, so many of you guys I know were shocked, man. The timing of it was beautiful. It really gives you that sense that you have to watch the entire show because you never know when anything can happen. It was the whole way that it was done. And I felt it was the perfect person to meet him face to face. Not Tommaso Ciampa. No, wait on that, bro. There's no reason to reignite that from the jump or have them in a tag team just so we can redo and relive DIY. No. Or Theory. Austin Theory comes to the ring, and I'm thinking, yes, if you watch the NXT days, you know their history. But even if you haven't, and you just look at Theory across from Gargano, you just know that's the match that needs to happen sooner rather than later. You see these two in a WWE ring, and there's just that feeling of organic freshness. It just feels fresh to see those two eye to eye. Redundancy for that moment in time was thrown out the window, thrown to the wayside. Ran over by a monster truck. Goodbye, redundancy, at least for that moment in time. Theory talks a lot of shit. Theory gets super kicked for his words. Welcome to the Johnny Wrestling Show, Theory. He gets laid out, flatlined. Gargano looks around and goes, the kid should have known from NXT what's going to happen if you talk that shit to me. And Gargano lays him out. This will obviously, hopefully anyway, continue on and set this up. I think that's a great first feud for Johnny Gargano. Johnny Wrestling, perhaps the hottest free agent in pro wrestling aside from Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda. Again, Sasha, Naomi, they're still a part of WWE, guys. They just are. They're on the roster pages every which way you look. They have never been confirmed to be released. They're part of WWE, and on top of that, we heard Triple H already talk to them anyway. Their comeback is imminent. So as far as free agents, Bray and Johnny Gargano would be the hottest ones. Gargano, a lot of people, it was a shoo-in, they thought, that he'd be going to AEW. And even BC thought there was a good chance, but once Triple H took over, you had to believe that phone call was made to Gargano. And I told you guys, man, just in one of my last streams, I did a little bit of an amplified rant on Gargano said he's willing to talk to Triple H. He's willing to come back to WWE. And I fucking hoot and hollered, man. Right here, just a few videos ago. Maybe it was the last one. It was one of the last ones that I did. I spent a few minutes just, I was like, hey, what are you doing? If you truly want to show people change, and this guy, one of the hottest free agents, is telling you they're willing to listen before they sign with your rival AEW, if you're Triple H, what do you drop everything and make the phone call? Like, what are you doing, dude? Get Gargano in there. Enough playing around. Because if he shows up for Tony Khan, that is a missed opportunity and a dropped touchdown pass by Triple H. That's like Aaron Rodgers throws a bullet right to a perfect spiral right to Triple H in the end zone, and he dropped the ball. You cannot let Tony Khan get Gargano. And I honestly believe if Gargano went there, would he be booked correctly? I mean, Adam Cole, baby, I'm sure he's pounding his head on a fucking brick wall right now thinking, damn, if I just held off, what could I have been on WWE Raw right now? What could I have been in WWE? under Triple H, who fucking loved me, who adored me. But Adam Cole went to where the grass was greener at the time, which was AEW. They were the cool kids in school. That was the talk of the town. All the momentum was in AEW. And now Adam Cole, man, we all can agree, or most of us, any reputable motherfucker who calls WWE, AEW pro wrestling, who calls himself an accurate, honest critic, anybody can see that Adam Cole was booked 87 times better in NXT than what he is right now in AEW. It's sad what has happened to Adam Cole. But BC, he won the Owen Hart. The Owen Hart? The pink championship? Much love to Owen Hart, by the way. It's going to take more than a fucking predetermined tournament to make somebody relevant, bro. An injury doesn't help for Adam Cole. That sucks. Bad timing. But it just felt like Tony Khan doesn't know what to do with an Adam Cole. Bryan Danielson has been botched 76 different ways since his debut. Looks like he can't even beat anybody, man. He goes the distance with a fucking an Omega, a Hangman, a fucking Dan Garcia goes the distance with Danielson. What the fuck is up with Danielson? But he's producing bangers, I'm told. Doesn't help his booking one bit. And he's thrusted into a fucking group, the BCC. I don't know if Khan knows how to do that. He's too busy trying to fucking build up a Dante and a fucking... a Garcia. It's like a flavor of the month for Tony. I truly had reservations, man. I did not think Gargano, as much as everybody else thought it would be a perfect fit, I never thought that Gargano in AEW would be a perfect fit. Never did. You could produce some more bangers, but he could just end up being Adam Cole status. Shit, Kenny Omega hasn't even been booked properly in AEW. The Young Bucks, these are EVPs. I think this was the right choice. Take the phone call from Triple H. And let's dance. He cut a backstage interview for WWE.com an hour after the show. And he was so excited. He's like, let's go. Let's go. He's like, even my baby got a chant. He's going to remember this one day. He's going to watch this tape. And they laughed. Him and, who was it, Sarah Schreiber? They laughed because he said he's going to watch this tape. Old school. You could tell he's a little bit older, right? He's like, so he laughed at himself. He's like, that's right. It's going to be a VHS. And my little baby's going to watch. Because Toronto gave a baby wrestling. Baby wrestling. Because Gargano mentioned his baby, and pro wrestling fans, you can't do that, man. So Johnny Gargano actually talked about his baby, and he said, that's right, baby wrestling. And he tried to go on with his promo, and BC was yelling at the big screen at that point, even before the chant started. The second he said baby wrestling, I said, uh-oh, you can't do that with us wrestling fans. We're going to make that a chant in 3, 2, 1. And BC snapped his fingers, and sure enough, Toronto was fucking in unison. Baby wrestling. So anyway, Gargano had some fun with that backstage, but he said the words, man, let's go. He said he's fired up. You could tell he's excited. For 9 months, he sat home, really not knowing what he was going to do. I'm pretty sure he thought he was going to AEW. That's where the momentum was. WWE was in the shitter. It has been for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, things started changing a little bit. And here's Gargano. Anyway, that's a long rant on it, but that's the top story in the wrestling world this morning. So there's no way that I couldn't talk in great length about Gargano's return. I mean, this is just fucking huge. I felt it was done beautifully. And now we're off to the races, and the world is now going to see just how good Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling is. And if you want bangers, just wait and see. Watch what this guy can do in that ring. And if they put storylines with it, he could just become your new favorite wrestler. I'm not even fucking bullshitting you. And that was hour 3, bro. That was hour 3. That was not hour 2. Damn, BC. I botched that. Because it was Gargano. Still middle of the show. I mean, it was at the fucking... after the fucking start of the third hour. but that was not the start of hour 2, so I fucked that up. So after that, guys, we went into the main event, which was Edge and Priest. If you don't mind, let me go back to hour 2 because Dolph and Balor ended hour number 1. We went over that. And then we went into Gable and Owens. So let me go back to hour 2, and then we'll go back to the main event, if that's okay. I botched it. It's a BC botch. Hour 2 started with Shoosh. Shoosh, please. Hold on, by the way. Can I get that a little bit fucking... Is there any way I can get that fucking... Oh, fuck it. You know what? That's fine. No. Just dim the left panel. Yeah, because that's just in my fucking peripheral. Yeah, I'm seeing it. Alright, sorry. A little bit of lighting issues there, man. We're fucking, we're fucking rocking out here on the AMP channel, brah. Sasha's decking it all out, and I'm loving it. I gotta be honest with you, man. She's always getting creative with the set. If you guys could see behind the fucking camera, man, it is a setup, let me tell you. Anyway, hour 2. Shoosh, please. Gable and Otis start hour number 2. Gable says, for the first time ever, Alpha Academy is actually accepting new students. There's just one problem, he says. Canada has no worthy talents. Canada has no worthy talents to apply. So he just takes a shit on Canada as a whole. In fact, he wasn't even done. He says, all I found here in Canada is toothless hockey players hooked up on Tim Hortons. Salute, bro. He just took a shit on Tim Hortons. For those of you that don't know what Tim Hortons is, hold on, maybe I got one here. I got every other fucking pod. Did I do all the Tim Hortons? Oh man, I'm all out of Tim Hortons. I had it in yesterday's stream. If you guys caught yesterday's Amplified Live, in honor of being in Toronto, I had a. It's just like this, guys. It's a pod just like this. Fucking Tim Hortons Canadian coffee, and I did it in honor of Canada. It's their big. Now somebody told me it's not just Canada anymore. That Tim Hortons is spreading their wings, but it's always known as Canadian coffee. So it was oh man, it was so funny to hear Gable say those words, man. All I found here in Canada is toothless hockey players hooked up on Tim Hortons. I had to give a little laugh at that because I was like, dude, I just had Tim Hortons earlier. It's good coffee. I love Corey Graves, dude. Corey Graves chimed in on commentary after he said that. He goes, wait, I like Tim Hortons coffee. Corey, I'm with you, man. I pounded some Tim Hortons yesterday. I would have done another one had I had any other pods. I got to get a new box. Anyway, that was funny, man. Gable is just taking a shit on Canada. The disrespect for Timmy Hortons was real last night. And that was enough for Kevin Owens to hit the ring and take care of such injustice. Owens versus Gable is official. Of course, Owens is the Canadian hero. I believe he's more Montreal, Quebec. Or Montreal, I think, correct? I don't think he's Toronto side. I think that's more Trish Stratus. But he did say, yeah, because he said afterwards, he said, while I'm not from Toronto, I still have so much love for Toronto. He said that in a backstage interview for WWE.com after the show. So they still showed him a hero's welcome. And we got Owens and Gable. This was a good seesaw match, ending with Owens' pop-up powerbomb for the W. Post-match, Owens destroys Gable some more and then even annihilates Otis. So look, here's my problem with this. I'm so glad that Owens is being booked properly. No question about it. So glad that Gable got some time on the mic, sounded and looked really good on that mic, and then put on a banger of a match. I'm glad. But feeding Alpha Academy to Owens post-match, I just don't get that logic. There's no reason for that. He won the match. That's it. Move on, man. Like, don't bury Alpha Academy, right? Just for Owens. You should not be tearing people down just to raise others up. And if that's the case, you have to find a different strategy. Okay, Owens won the match. That's fine. But why did Gable have to get beat up more afterwards? And why did Otis, big brute Otis, that should be a badass, why is he being manhandled after Gable? It makes Alpha Academy look so fucking weak. And again, you want to make somebody strong, that's awesome. Make sure others are not looking too weak at a time where they need to be booked strong. Alpha Academy needs momentum right now. I just don't like the post-match activities because at the end of the day, it's going to be forgotten about. I'm hoping anyway. I'm hoping for the sake of Alpha Academy that it's going to be forgotten. So anyway, that's my only pet peeve, the extracurricular activities post-match. Other than that, everything was beautifully done. Gable on the mic, shitting on Canada. Here's the Canadian hometown boy. Or not hometown. Again, he's not from Toronto. But the Canadian hero to save the day. Thought it was done beautifully. And it's so good to see Owens, man, booked properly finally. I still can't believe that statistic. 5 years without a championship. That's crazy to think about because he was known as the prize fighter for so long. Next up, Toronto's Aliyah versus Bayley. This was a 7-minute match. Not a masterpiece by a long shot. Aliyah has absolutely improved from where she began. You guys remember, I was so hard on Aliyah because she was in NXT for years and it just didn't seem like there was any improvement. While she's been on the main roster, there has been drastic improvement. Now, I don't know, and I do believe, I was going to say I don't know how much rehearsal is going into all these matches. I got to believe it's a lot because she is still so fucking green. I don't know for sure if this wrestling thing is cut out for Aliyah or vice versa. But at least she has drastically improved. What they do rehearse, a lot better for Aliyah. So I want to give that credit because I was hard on her for a while. So it's good to see her put in that work. So an absolute improvement from where she began, but it was still so rough to see Bayley have to slow her pace down several levels so that Aliyah could keep up. And I understand Bayley, I believe that was her first singles match back, by the way. I'll recheck that, but I believe that was her first singles match since she returned from that injury. So basically, first singles match in like a year. And it's against Aliyah. And it took 7 minutes for her to beat Aliyah. To put that in a comparison, last week it only took 3 minutes for Dakota Kai to defeat Dana Brooke. It took more than double that to defeat Aliyah, and you're Bayley. I understand about ring rust. I understand about getting your ball bearings back in order. But it's Aliyah. So I don't know what this did for Bayley is what I am saying. Same thing I said about Dakota beating Dana Brooke in 3 minutes last week. Okay, it was decisive. It was 3 minutes. But what did that do for Dakota? What did it do for the group, Dakota, Io, and Bayley? That victory over Dana last week. I'm saying the same thing this week. What did that 7-minute match over Aliyah do for Bayley? It didn't make her look dominant. And the match, again, was just rough. Aliyah was talking so much during it. And I know you want to go over some moves in the ring, but you have to make sure your mouth is fully covered. There was times she was in the corner, and you see her audibly just telling Bayley what she wants to do next. There was one time she was in a fucking chokehold, and she was, like, smiling as she talked to Bayley. Like, just kind of like a laugh on her face. I'm like, you can't do that, Aliyah. You can't do that. At the end of the day, how beautiful she is. Wow. Now I know, you say, BC, most of the females you say are beautiful, man, in WWE. Well, a lot of female talent in pro wrestling in general is just beautiful. What do you want me to say? I love beautiful women. There are a lot of beautiful women, man. And Aliyah is just so damn sexy. So I'm sure that you know, a lot of people, they're willing to overlook the skill level because they're enamored by her in the ring, moving every which way. So she is beautiful. She has improved. It's still rough. Very rough. And that needs to be corrected. I digress. Bayley collects the W via Rose Plant. So at least Bayley gets the W. I just don't think this does anything for her or her group. Miz and Ciampa up next versus Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles. This was a 14-minute match with one of the most bizarre finishes I've ever witnessed. A mystery man attacks AJ Styles. Some people thought it was Escobar, but then it was debunked afterwards. No, it looks nothing like him, but I did not get to see it a second time. I didn't even see the replay. So I have to go back and see if it's anybody that I know. I haven't even seen news on it, so maybe it is somebody from NXT. I just didn't go back and see it a second time. And I didn't see or hear anyone else in the community even talk about it, or I didn't read anything from a journalist. So I have to do my own due diligence. From what I saw, it didn't look like anybody I knew, so it just looked like it was a swerve for Dexter Lumis to get the Miz. Because that's what happened. As this person is attacking AJ Styles, arena security is taking this guy away. This allows Dexter Lumis on the other side of the barricade to now abduct the Miz. Takes him over the barricade by his head and drags him backwards as he's looking at the ring, at the camera. And he's walking backwards through the curtain and off air. The crowd is like, what the where is he taking the Miz? To this hour the next day, we still don't know where the fuck the Miz is, by the way. Adam Pearce sent out a social media post of the Miz on a milk carton. Now, I thought that was funny because Adam Pearce is in charge, storyline-wise anyway. He's in charge of the talent. So Adam Pearce is wondering where his Raw talent is, the Miz. So I thought that was funny that Pearce sent this out on social. I thought that was fucking funny. The Miz is on a milk carton. But Loomis, it was the perfect plan because the security is taking out the guy who attacked AJ. So Loomis is now able to abduct the Miz. I thought that was just done brilliantly, man. I mean, that we got a storyline on Raw? Go figure. Never thought I'd see that again. So I'm just such a bizarre finish, man. And that pretty much ended the match because the ref is like, well, what the fuck? This is anarchy, dude. Who are these? What is happening? By his head. Miz is like help, anybody? Where's security? And then they're fucking already taking out the guy who attacked AJ. I'm trying to get you, for those that didn't watch the show, man, visualize that. That's happening over here with AJ, and over here, Dexter has free reign to abduct the Miz. So many questions. Is Dexter Lumis out for AJ Styles and Miz is a pawn piece? Or was AJ the pawn piece the whole time and Miz was the actual target for Dexter Lumis? So many questions need to be answered. Again, this pretty much stopped the match in its tracks. And then Tommaso is annihilated post-match. Again, this is one of those post-match extracurricular activities where you're doing too much. You don't need to do that. There's no reason for a guy like Tommaso, who for the past couple weeks we thought, oh, it looks like, Triple H. It's one of his dudes. It looks like he's getting a little bit more time, maybe more proper booking, and then all of a sudden, he has this no contest, and then he gets the shit kicked out of him post-match by Styles and Lashley. There's no need to do Tommaso like that. But this was just absolutely wild top to bottom in this match. Absolutely fucking wild. And then we went into the main event because we went over Johnny Wrestling's return already. I accidentally said that was hour number 2. That was actually at the start of hour number 3. The main event was Edge and Damien Priest. Very good main event. Even had some old school vibes with referee Charles Robinson getting knocked out of the ring, allowing the dastardly heel Priest to use a piece of a steel chair over the dome piece of Edge. Badass. Robinson would find his way back into the ring conveniently just in time to count Edge 1, 2, 3. I always used to love that, right? They would be knocked out for 10 minutes and then conveniently come in when the dastardly heel has done his business. But on this occasion, Edge would not die and he kicked out. Even after that steel chair piece to the dome piece, man, Edge kicked out. So Charles Robinson being knocked out was just a fun part of the match. Edge would not go away quietly. Edge was razor's edged straight through the commentary table at one point in this match, but later in the match found some sweet revenge when he hit a Canadian destroyer onto Priest. In Canada, mind you, so I thought that was brilliant. The finish saw Edge spear the shit straight out of Damien for the big W. Edge takes the pin. Or gets the pin over Priest. Priest takes the fucking pin flat on his back. It's a no harm, no foul. I know Judgment Day needs these W's. Balor got one earlier. And the post-match extracurricular activity in this match actually made sense and was awesome. We're going to get to that in a second. But as far as Priest flat on his back, let's be honest. It's against Edge. Everybody relax. Dude's going to be okay. There's worse things in the world of wrestling, booking-wise, than losing to Edge. Post-match, as I was aforementioning, you had Edge about to hit a concerto. So he goes out, gets two chairs, slips one underneath Priest. Priest is face down. He grabs the other one. He's about to drill this motherfucker with the concerto. And Rhea Ripley shows up right behind him. Comes up from behind and delivers, guys, a colossal out-of-body experience low blow. Bruh, I mean, she got all of it. Like, all of it. Like, whatever Edge was packing, Rhea Ripley made sure she unpacked. Got all of it. I mean, that was one of the most vicious low blows I've ever. Balor then hits the ring and delivers a thunderous coup de grace. Balor goes to grab a steel chair. Beth Phoenix intervenes. Beth Phoenix was at ringside during the match. During this match, this main event, to watch her husband Edge. And she was not going to sit idly by and watch him get destroyed, destructed, annihilated afterwards. So Beth Phoenix takes the chair away, gets into the ring, ready to beat up all three members of Judgment Day if need be. Beth was not playing around last night. So Phoenix grabs the chair, she's in the ring, and she hit that ring with gusto and on an amplified mission. Destroy anyone in the vicinity of her husband. Rhea wanted to rock with Beth, but Balor and Priest held her back. But to Rhea's credit, she wanted at it. She was like with her feet trying to crawl closer to Beth, but her arms were being held back by Priest and Balor. But she wanted to get after Beth, even with a steel chair that Beth had. And Phoenix did not back down, even though there was three motherfuckers. Phoenix was fully ready to bang out. And to get that visual of Rhea Ripley and Beth Phoenix wanting at one another, I was just like, yes, I never thought about it. Even when they did some work together in the past, you see the thumbnail, you see them back to back, right? To get that one-on-one with a really good storyline intact, even if beggars can't be choosers, we get it in a mixed tag match. Maybe one of Judgment Day, Balor or Priest, with Rhea versus Edge and Beth. Maybe you add both Judgment Day, they add a Rey Mysterio, and then we get a fucking schmaz six-man. But to see Beth Phoenix back in a WWE ring last night and setting up something with Rhea Ripley, that was ever so fucking epic. I don't want to over-exaggerate it, but I'm just huge on Beth Phoenix. And I love that she still wants to rock even today. Even being a mom, being away for so long, she knows she still has it. She still has it. She knows it. We know it. Her and Ripley? You know how badass that would be? Just like we're saying Gunther versus Sheamus. Man, we're just going to sit back and let them bang out. Rhea Ripley and Beth Phoenix for the chicks. Let them bang out. And we ended the show with that stare down. Phoenix and Ripley needs to happen. Just needs to. Probably going to get a mixed tag. I would love to see it one-on-one. That was Raw. Stratus. Phoenix. Gargano. Loomis. Bangers. A story or two. Pyro. Opening brawl through the arena. Man. Damn good main event. Edge rocking Toronto in 2022. Man. Top to bottom. Beginning to end. Start to finish. Last night we got a complete show. I could not be more happy for the boys and gals. Whenever Vince comes back, man, yeah, the honeymoon could be over. And that would be a dark day in this company. Because, man, you just feel, you really are, I'm, I don't want to jinx it, man. But you just feel like if H can just keep this going and keep the keys to this kingdom, you really feel like this is the best we've got in 10 years. And I've said from day one, man, I'm always harsh on Triple H. Always. Always. I've heard enough stories to know that he's not this great dude that you want to believe. But he was always one of my favorite wrestlers as the cerebral assassin. And I always wanted to see him do the very best with NXT. And I said the same thing when he got to the main roster in this position. I said, dude, we're behind you. I'm still going to hoot and holler and be hard on you because when things are wrong or not right, you need to know about it. But I always wanted to back this dude. But he has to show us that things are going to be done correctly. Last night was the first time. Everybody else was already fucking down on their knees for Triple H's era. No. Last night, oh. That was good. That was good. I'm not going to overhype it, over-exaggerate, say it was great, epic. Beth Phoenix was epic. Gargano was... Okay, there were some epic moments. But the show, fucking solid. Yeah, you could say that. Good? Absolutely. I cannot tell you how many times I said Monday Night Raw was good in the last 10 years, especially for the 5 years I've had this channel. I can't tell you how many times. It wasn't a lot. Don't know if I ever have in the past 10 years. Especially not the 5 years I've had this channel as a content creator. I don't know if I've ever said Raw was good. Man, keep the momentum going. They're going to be in Pittsburgh next week. Kurt Angle is returning next week. I really hope to see some more with Beth Phoenix. I hope we really kick in Bayley's group to the next level. Finally, it's long overdue. It needs to happen. And I can't wait to see the next chapter for people like Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, and even Dexter Lumis. Maybe we'll even find out where the Miz is, if anybody cares. BC Amplified, that's your Monday Night Raw review for 8/22/2022. Till next time, my unit, you know what to do. Think, be, live, amped always. Top guy, and I'm out. Check you. Salud. Oh, what am I missing, man? What the fuck am I missing? Oh, yeah. Sasha, hit my motherfucking music. Check you, top guy. I'm out.